closings and even the popular Fleet Week in New York City, which has been canceled. Joining us now with the latest political lowdown, CNBC contributor Robert Costa, Washington editor of the National Review. All right, they're belting them left and right, Bob Costa, but what's going to come of this? Anything?
Larry, good evening. I'm not so sure there's a conspiracy with the air traffic controllers, but there is a political battle here in Washington. You have Harry Reid, the Senate Majority Leader, and the White House coming out today and saying they want to get a replacement for the sequester cuts. They think all these delays are going to get political people riled up and stop the implementation of the sequester.
Is there any evidence that they will change their stripes? That is the White House, the executive branch. I mean, they already have, I'm not going to go into details, but they already have a lot more liberal with these sub-accounts than these executive agencies are pointing out, particularly the FAA guy. But a lot of Republicans say we're going to change this. Will they change this? Will the president allow them to have more latitude to avoid the alleged disaster scenario?
One thing I just heard here on Capitol Hill, Larry, is that Republicans behind the scenes are open to a sequester replacement. They are getting some pressure from back home about the flight delays, about a lot of these federal cuts. But the question is, can they get replacement cuts if they do replace the current cuts?
And the second question related to that, at least I'm going to ask you, if you have sequester replacement, do you have tax revenue coming on the scene?
That's what the White House and the Senate Democrats are trying to do, Larry. They want to make this not about the sequester, but about taxes. And they think if Republicans get nervous about the sequester, maybe the Republicans will cede and give some new revenue over to the Democrats. But there's a lot of pressure from the right for Republicans not to do that, so I doubt it's going to happen.
And so, therefore, you don't think there'll be any changes coming out of the House?
I don't think so. The House is still a very conservative body, and they knew that they're comfortable with the sequester, and they're not going to replace it with revenue, that's for sure.
All right. So it's a kabuki dance. Everybody is playing their little role.
That's right. The Democrats are trying to score points with these flight delays. Republicans are pushing back, but this is really just static right now in Washington. I don't think it's going to have a big impact here in Washington in terms of politics.
Great. Many thanks to Robert Costa. We appreciate it. Now let's get right to our distinguished guests. Joining us in just a few minutes, we're going to have Jerry.